what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new early TV review, and today we're discussing the first 3 episodes of the new Amazon Prime animated series by the name of Invincible. I got a chance to check out the first 3 episodes early, and I'm gonna let you all know what I thought about these first 3 episodes, and if you all should be excited for this series when it becomes available on Amazon Prime come March 26th, all in this spoiler-free review. Before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you all are following me on all my other social media accounts, which you can find those links in the description below. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing to the channel, and while you all are at it, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you can get the alert when I drop new content. It would mean the world to me if you all can like and share this spoiler-free review of Invincible. It helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate all the support. And in the comments below, let me know if you all are excited for this series, if you've read the comics, if once you've seen the first 3 episodes, does it transition well from comics to a animated show. Let me know if you're like me and haven't read the comics. Are you excited for this show? Are you going to continue to watch it every week? Let's have a discussion about it all in the comments below. So kind of piggybacking off of that last statement, I haven't read the comics. I was going to read the comics, but I heard, this was like a couple years ago, I had heard that Robert Kirkman wanted to make an animated series. He wanted to make a live action movie, which is still coming. So I was just like, you know what? Let me see what this is about first before I, dive into the comics or what have you. I've done that in some cases. Like, I'm very familiar with a lot of DC comics and Marvel comics, but when it comes to, outside of those bigger names, Image Comics, Dark Horse, you have The Boys, you have this series. I was like, you know what? Let me kind of go in this a little bit cold and see what this is all about. Very similar to what I did with The Boys, and I'm glad I've done that because I love that show, and I'm hoping to love this show as well. So again, no comic knowledge. I don't know about the twists, the turns, the reveals, the comic book world that they have created and the superheroes in this world. So this is going to be a fun adventure, and this is going to be a spoiler-free review on the first 3 episodes, just kind of outlining my pros, my cons, and if I will be back to watch more. So let's get into it. First and foremost, just backtracking, this is created by Robert Kirkman, who wrote the comics, which was about 15 years, had a 15-year run, very popular series, and Amazon picked it up recently, and this voice cast led by Steven Yeun, who I'm a huge fan of, and speaking of him, this is a Walking Dead alumni cast, and then you have J.K. Simmons, who respectively are playing Mark and well as Nolan. And again, I can spend 10 minutes going over this voice cast because they're so incredible, but I'm going to leave the voice cast in the description. But this cast is incredible. But let's get into my pros and get into the first episode, which was titled It's About Time. Now, just to kind of set the stage, synopsis-wise, this is a world that is fully aware of superheroes, and the world has this somewhat of a Justice League type of team that defends the world, right? And they go by the name of Guardians of the Globe. Again, you have like a Batman character, you have a Wonder Woman-like character, Flash, Aquaman, but then you have Omni-Man, who is Nolan Grayson, who is voiced by J.K. Simmons. He's Superman. He is the most powerful superhero in this world. He has a wife. He has a kid by the name of Mark, and this is our main character, Mark Grayson, who is voiced by Steven Yeun. He's a little late to getting into his powers at a very young age. I believe he was 7 years old. His father, Nolan, told him where he comes from, his origins, that he's an alien from another race, and he was brought to Earth to be the protector of mankind. And he told Mark at a young age that you're going to eventually get the same powers as your dad. But like I said, it takes quite a while for Mark to get into those powers. He's 17 in the show, and he's slowly starting to develop his powers. And that's essentially what this first episode focuses on, is kind of the origins of a sort of Mark Grayson, of his family. You get introduced to the world again. The world is very aware of superheroes, supervillains, different power sets. It's a really interesting world that this first episode does a great job of world building and just really setting the tone, right? There's some really good jokes. There is not that much violence until I get to a certain part here, but it's just a great episode to, again, embrace you into the world. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with Invincible, but this first episode kind of reminded me of the world building that we got in the first episode of The Boys. And I love that Amazon gave us the first 3 episodes of the show because it really kind of sets the stage and sets the narrative. And I'm going to get to the part here in regards to they do a great job of world building, introducing the characters, introducing all this stuff, but it is the ending, the last 7-10 minutes of episode 1 ends in a bang, and I'm sure those that have read the comics are like, oh yeah, I'm waiting to see that scene. And when you see how this first episode ends, this is when the show hooked me. I was interested in it. I'm like, okay, I like, Mark and his dad and his mom and the kids at school and the whole world of superheroes, but I thought it was going to be ultra violent. I thought it was going to be like very raunchy, very similar to The Boys. And it is. Let me tell you, when you all see this ending, the way this episode ends, I was literally shocked. I was watching it, I was fully invested in the episode, wasn't on my phone or distracted, but I was just like, okay, when's he going to pick up? And like I said, when you all see this ending, we got to talk about it. I was beyond impressed by the way that first episode ended. And I'll get to just like my other overall impressions of the animation and all that stuff. But episode 1, that ending is a great way to kick off a new series and have a great pilot, which brings us into episode 2, which was titled Here Goes Nothing, which basically, by the way, again, this voice cast, there's a subplot that they introduced in episode 1 involving John Hamm and a son that he has. And I'm really interested to see where that story goes. I don't want to dive into the spoilers there, but more or less, this second episode picks up after the events of that epic, crazy ending that we get with episode 1. And what we see in this second episode, we're introduced to more of the world. We get introduced to the Global Defense Agency, which goes by GDA, and they're essentially like, think of, from our Marvel fans, Nick Fury and Sword, or Hydra, or I should say Shield before it was Hydra. They kind of control all the different agencies. They're kind of like underground, and they are like, you have the police force, then you have this agency that like looks over the globe and protects the globe and knows about all the superheroes and whatnot. And that is the director who leads this global team, goes by the name of Cecil. And he is a very no nonsense, again, to my analogy of the Avengers. He's a very Nick Fury-ish type of character where he wants the answers and he doesn't care how he gets them, and very kind of focused on that. So we get introduced to him. And then let's just say, without giving too much away, Omni-Man is kind of busy dealing with some other stuff based on that cliff ending, that ending from episode 1. So he's kind of doing his thing. So that kind of leaves Mark to kind of step in and kind of be the Earth protector of sorts, because what happens with Omni-Man kind of involves the Avengers, should say the Justice League characters in this show, with the Guardians of the Globe. So they're kind of doing their thing, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. So while they're busy, Mark has to protect the world from an alien invasion, and as he's doing this, he's overwhelmed. He's kind of struggling to kind of fill the shoes for his father, who's busy doing all other things. And this alien invasion, we get to meet another set of superheroes by the name of I believe their name was Teen Dream, which consists of Robot, Duplicate, Rex, and Adam Eve. A really interesting group. The dynamics really good. They're funny. They all have really cool superpowers, but again, Mark is meeting them for the first time. We get introduced to this demon detective by the name of Darkhold, who is voiced by Clancy Brown. And oh my goodness, he is so cool. I said Darkhold, I'm thinking of WandaVision. He goes by the name of Dark Blood. And he's a really cool character, because his whole situation is, he's a detective. He helps solve these crimes, and by him doing that, he can free his soul from hell. So it's just these little world building, little Easter eggs, little details that I'm really enjoying about these first 2 episodes. And kind of wrapping up this second episode, without again diving into the details, Mark learns about what it takes to be a superhero, that death is involved in being a superhero, and it's kind of part of the job. And then we also get introduced to a particular character voiced by Seth Rogen by the name of Alan the Alien, which is a really interesting character, and what his job entails is really kind of cool. So again, the first episode with a cliffhanger. The second episode follows it up with more world building, the global defense team. We have this, this stuff is going on with Omni-Man, and we have Mark trying to kind of stepping into becoming a superhero, which wraps up the first 3 episodes with episode 3, which was titled Who Are You Calling Ugly? And we open up with a funeral. I won't say who's involved in the funeral, but it's in this episode that, again, we really kind of learn more about Mark. We get a little bit more in depth with him dealing with school, dealing with a study date. There's a particular love triangle that gets in the mix, but more importantly, he has to step into his role as a superhero. So falling in love and having a girlfriend in high school at 17 years old, you got to put that on the back burner. You have a world to protect here. And that's where we kind of get more introductions to more superhero groups, because again, this world is filled with superheroes. There's different Instagram handles, there's different teams and this and that nature. So I'm just loving this world, that this world kind of has these superheroes that are well aware of their presence in the world. We get this particular trial run because we have to kind of build a new defense team based on events that happened in episode 1. And you have this team that consists of some, I love these names, by the way, Monster Girl, Dark Samson, Shrinking Ray, consists consists of other characters from the other team, the teen team. We have Duplicate Kate and Adam, Eve, as well as robot characters. So we have this new team that we get introduced to in this third episode. Cecil recruits Invincible to tag along with Adam, Eve, to go to this mission to protect Mount Rushmore, which involves a very great actor, a very great voice actor in Mark Hamill, who plays Art, and his whole situation is really, really interesting, and that whole sequence is very awesome. The action in the show is top-notch. And this is where we kind of see the beginnings of a particular love triangle in this show. And episode 3 ends in another cliffhanger that makes you want to come back for more, that involves Nolan, Omni-Man, and his storyline that goes through, and kind of the unfolding of this kind of mystery involving him. And I'll just say this when it comes to just overall thoughts of the show. First 3 episodes were fantastic. The animation's great. The world building is there. The mystery's there. The jokes land. The violence. Let me tell you all, this is an animated show. This is not for kids. This is a very ultra-violent show. It has some swear words. There's some mature conversations being had. But again, the violence in this show is, like I mentioned The Boys earlier, this is The Boys in an animated form. I mean, it gets really, really violent, and I love that. And I just love, again, how they're building the story, how they're building a mystery involving Omni-Man and kind of his character development and having a somewhat of a temper at times. I'll just say that. But I love this voice cast. Steven Yeun leading the cast. J.K. Simmons, great. The cast is just incredible from top to bottom. I mean, literally, look in the description, see all the people that are in the show. And we haven't even met half of the voice cast yet, which gets me so excited for the weeks ahead, which brings me to my point. I will be covering this show every week because I'm so invested in this world. I'm so invested in the characters. Again, I haven't read the comics, so all this stuff is new to me. So if you've read the comics, I don't want to say don't spoil anything, because I'm pretty sure with all these shows and movies based on comics, it's not beat for beat. So there'll probably be different things that happen in the comics that they won't do in the show, or they'll add something new to the show. So, I mean, you'll have a little bit of knowledge more than me and maybe new people that haven't read this book. But let's just have a great discussion about the show, because I'm really having a good time with it. And I will be back with further reviews, and the rest of the reviews for the show will be spoilers. So I'll dive deeper into the spoilers once we get to the further, episode 4. I'm not sure how many episodes this season is going to consist of. I know I haven't watched an animated show in a very long time. I know that animation, they sometimes have 15, 20 episodes. I don't know if we'll get that with this show, but whatever we get, I'll be watching it. And I hope you all come along with me in this journey of Invincible, because I'm really enjoying what I saw. But let me know what you all thought of the first 3 episodes once you've seen it. Of course, this is an early review, so let me know if you're excited for the show, if you've read the comics, if you're excited to see what this show is going to be different from the comics, or if you're like me and haven't read it. Are you going to be watching this on a weekly basis? And if you are, come back every week and let's discuss this show in the comments. As always, make sure to like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And man, it is a great time to be a comic book fan. Invincible, we have The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I have my review on my channel. By the time this video is out, it should be out now. Zack Snyder's Justice League, got a lot of coverage for that. So it's a great week to be a comic book fan. Let's continue the conversation. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you on the next video.